Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. We have the pleasure of sitting down with Geno Stone, who I was just saying to him, this might be the closest back-to-back lounge appearances ever in lounge history. So, I mean, obviously, that's the biggest news of the week for you, right. Obviously. Geno, congrats. One-year contract coming back. I think we all knew, Geno's going to land back here. You know what I mean? I mean, you were, a free agent for maybe 18 hours, 12 hours?
Something like that.
Less than that. So just what are the emotions, returning?
Just happy. It's a place I wanted to be. I talked about my agent where I would see myself, and I thought this is the best place for me. I feel like what we have coming back, what type of role I could have, and what type of role I already had on this team. So I just wanted to expand on that and just get ready to go work with guys and get ready for a Super Bowl run or something like that.
Right. So did it ever enter your mind like, oh, man, I could be playing somewhere else potentially, or you were always like, it's going to be the Ravens. I know it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, probably when I didn't get the tender, I was like, there could be a possibility I could go somewhere else, And
I saw the eye emojis on Twitter. Yeah. We always got to be reading the emoji game.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a few other offers out there, but I just felt like this is the place that I wanted to be, so that's kind of what I went with.
Gotcha.
Geno, you've been a guy who, ever since you came here, has kind of had to fight and earn your spot, and you've done it very well. Just curious about your mindset when you first came here, because nothing was, handed to you and given to you, how you've been able to just thrive and keep getting better in a place where, you didn't come in with a spot that was guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something I went through in college. I started growing up all the way till I got to college. In my freshman year of college, I mean, I was like second team, third team, played really just kick off the first few games of the season. So I really burnt my red shirt just playing kickoffs because I wanted to be on the field, so I wanted to play. So I worked my butt off, got all the way up there, and then I feel like it helped me carry it over here because I feel like it would have been different if I would have went all the way through college, say I started and then got to the league. There's some people that do that, and then they don't understand, like, oh, now I got to play special teams. And I feel like Coach Ferentz and them prepared me well to play special teams and get ready for the league to play special teams. And, here I had to, like you said, I had to work all the way up. And one thing my coach in Iowa, Coach Parker, always says, never get complacent. So every time I have that extra step, I could do something, or I feel like I'm comfortable a little bit. You gotta be like comfortable being uncomfortable situations. So that's why I try to keep myself in all the time. Just make sure, I never get complacent and just know what I gotta work for every day.
You talk about your role and the potential for you to have a bigger defensive role. Obviously, the trade of Chuck Clark kind of opens that up a little bit. What was your reaction when you first saw the news that Chuck was heading to the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, Chuck was a big piece of our defense. He wore the green dot, and right. Everyone relied on him. He's one of the biggest leaders on defense. So, it's part of the business though. So you kind of saw it coming, but it just kind of sucks. But I mean, yeah. I still respect Chuck a lot. I know he's gonna do great wherever he goes. So. I was happy for whatever he does. Now,
I know Chuck was kind of known for his film study and really knowing the opponent inside and out. Did you sit right next to him being like, all right, peeking over his shoulder, looking at those notes? What do you take from Chuck moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny because, like, sometimes in meetings, like, Chuck would, like, I'm kind of the same type of person, I like to I see stuff on film that probably, like, he wouldn't see, and he sees stuff on film I wouldn't see. So,
right.
I was always picking his brain and, trying to tell him, like, hey, why are we doing this? And he was looking at me like, shoot, I don't know. I didn't think of that,
Yeah,
there's some things where I'll be confused. I'm like, why are we doing this? And he'll explain it to me. So,
yeah.
I feel like me and Chuck were, like, just always helping each other out. And then especially with, like you said, the film thing, like, I mean, that's a good thing about having all them set of eyes in the film room because some people see stuff different or think different. So,
right.
But Chuck, yeah, he was one of the smartest guys in the room always, and he always knew what was about to happen or by formations or wherever it was. So you're gonna miss that in the room.
Now, obviously, Kyle being there, he's gonna, Harb said he's gonna still play kind of a versatile role. He'll probably play a little bit more deeper safety, kind of in Chuck's spot. But do you kind of see yourself as saying, hey, it's going to be me and Kyle. We're going to be in the rotation, kind of like Kyle and Chuck were last year, and still playing a lot of 3 safety looks most likely.
Yeah, I mean, that's whatever Mike and Harbs and them got planned. whatever the role is, that's what it is. But I can see that. I can see me, Kyle, and Marcus all working together.
Yeah.
Do basically the same thing we did last year with me, Chuck, and Kyle. Whenever Marcus is out, or vice versa. Whenever Kyle and Chuck and all them, I feel like we're all pieces that could just rotate. If someone went down like how Marcus did, or whatever happens, I feel like we're all rotational movements that we could all go in and play.
Right.
You mentioned Marcus being out last year. You stepped in, your playing time went up. Defense didn't miss a beat. Can you talk about that experience and how much you think that'll help you next year?
Yeah, I just feel like that whole experience and that them 7 games I played a lot built my confidence and really I feel like I proved myself that I proved to myself that hey, you could play in this league and you could do it for a long time. That was like a welcome, really like a welcome to the NFL moment for me because just being able to go out there and start all them games and to be able to perform at the level I did, I just wanted to go out there and do my job. I did nothing too crazy, but just to show I go out there and still do my job and help this defense or any defense, whatever I was on, just perform at a high level, and I feel like we did.
Part of bringing you back, I thought the importance was also special teams. Not only what you bring defensively, but in that area, you kind of stepped into that role Anthony Levine co-cap had before, kind of as the I don't know, Coco captain? What's the right term here?
Marlo was calling me co-pilot.
Co-pilot.
I like that.
That's actually really good. What did Co-Cap say to you at the end of the year? How did he evaluate your special teams performance stepping into his shoes?
He said I got a way to go. Co-Cap, he did that for 10 plus years. So
right.
It's not like he didn't say anything negative like that, but he said I got ways to go. But it was weird for me though because I went from 7 games starting,
right,
and then there was I came back at the end of the year, started going back full time special teams.
Right.
I was telling them, I was telling everyone, it was kind of how to get my groove back. It's different from knowing that's all you're gonna play.
Right.
You're studying that all the time. Like I wasn't studying, I was off certain things. So I was getting back. I had to get back in my groove. So that's something that I learned from last year where. I got to make sure I keep my groove, whatever, if I'm having a limited role on defense or
right.
and playing special teams.
Right. Now, you mentioned, it was you kind of proved to yourself what you could do last year. I know in college you were a playmaker. So next year, moving forward, how much do you want to show that, hey, I can be a guy who, if Mike puts me in a rotation regularly, I can be a guy who can make plays? Yeah,
that's what I feel like that's what everyone on defense wants to do, go out there and make plays, but at the same time, I don't want to go out there and try to overdo my play. I don't want to go out there and try to do too much where big plays are given because as a safety, if a big play given up is a touchdown. So, but yeah, I want to go out there and show I can still make plays on the ball, go get picks, force fumbles, whatever it is. So I'm trying to go out there and get turnovers. I showed in preseason that's got to turn over the regular season.
Last one for me. I know there's isn't there a good DB coming out of Iowa this year? Riley.
Yeah, my boy Riley Moss.
Yeah. So give us a scouting report. It's almost draft season here. Give it to us, Geno.
No, shoot, he's tall. He's taller than you think. He's like 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah.
But he got speed. He can run. He's a track guy coming out of high school.
Okay.
So he got speed, and he likes to. He's gonna fight. He's not your stereotypical corner that people are gonna pick. But
right.
But I played with him for 2 years, and he's a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. He goes against a lot of picks. He got good hands, and he's reliable. That's one thing I can say about Riley.
All right, well, there you go. EDC's got the scouting report straight from the source, Geno. All right, Geno, do you have anything else for him, Cliff?
No, I think I'm good. I was thinking about you the other night, though. I'm sure you weren't happy watching Iowa go down. So.
Dang, Cliff, we're going to end on that note.
No, I want to know now that his team is out.
No, that's all right. I'm a Duke fan, though.
You're a Duke fan?
I'm a Duke fan.
Oh, well, now we got beef. Terp, Terp Duke. Jeez.
I'm a Duke fan, so.
Well, all right, Geno. We're glad you're back. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thrilled to sit down with Justice Hill, fresh off signing his 2-year deal to stay here in Baltimore. Just, take us through the emotions of staying.
Man, this is the best feeling ever. I did not want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And this is definitely the place for me. It's home. And so I'm glad we're able to get something done. And it's just going to be fun. Just going through the next seasons, we continue to progress on offense. And just go ahead and make some plays.
Yeah. What was really important to you about staying? Why were you like, nah, I definitely didn't want to go anywhere else?
Man, they said it's treacherous out there, man. That's what they say. It's treacherous. But now this is just home, and it definitely built a relationship with a lot of the coaches, the people here, the staff, everybody, and just the city in general. And so I really love the place, and it's a great organization, and no place I'd rather be. So.
Nice.
Because I know last year was probably big for you, coming off an injury, contract year. You did obviously very well. Can you just talk about what last year was like for you, and then now to be healthy this offseason, what you have, how much you're looking forward to next year, starting a year healthy.
Right. Last year was definitely a year that you wanted to, like, come back and prove yourself because everybody coming off the Achilles, people kind of count you to lose a step or not be the exact same person you were. But for me, during that whole process of rehabbing while I was up here, I just wanted to continue to get better and come back even better than what I was. And so I think I was able to come back and show some things. And this offseason, I was able to have the whole time not rehabbing to improve some skills. So coming back when the springtime, continue to develop, and then coming back for training camp and get ready for the season, I expect just to make a lot more improvements and make a real impact on this team.
When was it that you got back on the field for the first time last year? I'm trying to remember. Was it minicamp or was it?
Yeah,
OTAs?
it was right around like OTAs. I think I was ready for OTAs, but it was still like that transition. Like I wasn't 100%.
Well, so, I remember. I said this the other day. I remember like seeing you out there for OTAs and minicamp, and I was like, "Dang, Justice looks pretty fast and like quick already." Like it was just so shocking to me coming off the Achilles. Usually, you do think of it as a long kind of on ramp, And I was like, "Man, Justice looks good."
Hey,
like,
man.
can you take us into that rehab? How tough that was, and did you even surprise yourself how fast you came back, or what?
Oh man, it was a emotional roller coaster. I would say that. Just like you would progress, and then you kind of plateau for a little bit. You don't really see any progress, and it's like, man, what's going on? Like, it was a roller coaster of emotion. But I would thank the training staff, Mike Thomas, AD, Ron, everybody in there.
Yeah.
Everybody did a tremendous job. Every single day we were up here working away, like from the time it happened back in September all the way until I got 100% clear.
Right.
And, without them, man, and just staying consistent with it and really just putting my all into the recovery, I was able to come back fully 100%. And so I have no issue with it now, man. And I'm blessed to be in that situation and continue to stay healthy throughout last year and in the future. So.
At what point did you feel like you were back to 100%?
It was after minicamp. Like during minicamp OTAs, I wasn't 100%. Like I was struggling to get through practices, but during that little break we had before training camp, man, I was jump roping over 1,000 jump ropes every single day, like, grinding. And then when I came back for training camp, like I had no issues at all. Like,
right.
So I really think the jump rope that helped me.
Do you ever do the crossover?
All of it.
You do all of it. All right, doing the tricks.
I keep it like that's my baby now. So me the jump rope, we're best friends.
That's funny.
Now you, Gus, JK have all been through a lot over the past couple of years.
Right.
How much have you guys helped each other to get through what you've been through? And what talk about the potential of this running back room next year?
Right. Just going through what you have to go through. Sometimes in life, like when you go through those challenges, it really makes you stronger. And so our whole group had been through massive challenges. And so as a unit, all three of us were super strong, mentally, physically. And it's nothing we haven't seen or prepared for. And so that's only going to catapult us to be one of the best position groups in the entire league. And so I'm excited for this year because we came off last year, everybody trying to get through their injuries, still kind of working through those things. But now everybody had a full off season to really get healthy, come back OTAs, get the feet wet again, and then get to the season. We're going to be rolling. So it's going to be super, super exciting to learn a new offense too with Todd Monken and all the other coaches they brought in. So I'm excited. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people around the city and everybody around the building are excited as well.
It really seems like you're the perfect fit for what Todd's looking to do because, I know at his introductory press conference, he talked a lot about space players and getting players in space, quick players, players that can make people miss. That's you. I mean, you can get that edge in a hurry.
Right.
What do you I know obviously you probably haven't had extensive conversations with Todd yet, but what do you kind of envision your role being as you move forward?
Yeah, I mean, just making an impact. Regardless of where it's at.
Yeah.
I play special teams, do all those things there. I'm giving 100% to those things as well. Make plays there because those things help us win as well.
Yep.
And then on offense too, just doing everything like from blocking to catching, getting in space, making people miss. All those things are vital, and so I've been working on those things, improving those things too. So when we come back, put it all together, and utilizing all these players and skill sets that we have, man, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah,
So,
you talk about special teams, and you've really become a very strong special teams player. How'd you go about that, and was that really a mindset for you? I feel like a lot of guys on special teams, it's usually like big dude. They want big dudes who can run fast. Generally,
Right.
You're not necessarily the biggest dude, but you become really good, but fast. You definitely got that. How did you get so good at special teams, and how important is that to you?
Yeah. It really was a mindset because I never played special teams. I never even paid attention to special teams. Like I didn't even know what impact special teams had in the game because I'm just locked in offense. You know, like you run the ball, you make touchdown, you kind of go up to the sideline, not pay attention to what's going on in the field, right? But coming to the league is totally different. You know, in order to get on the field, sometimes you have to go and play special teams. So you kind of had that bigger vision in mind, and so. And for me, I just knew this is what I had to do to suit up every game. I knew I had to do this to get some opportunities of offense, and so I took it serious, and I really committed myself to it. And every time I'm out there, I'm like, yo, the person across me is just not going to beat me. And when you had a mindset, it kind of propels you to success. And so that's how I was able to kind of create some success on special teams, not ever doing it before in my life. And even when it came to tackling people, like I remember the first couple of times I was on special teams, I'm like, get to the situation, I'm like, oh, now I just froze. I didn't even know what to do. I hadn't tackled somebody since middle school. So, yeah, man, it was definitely a journey, but it was definitely a mindset that helped me. And man, I love it now. So,
and I'm sure that's a reason why you were brought back too. I mean, it's like both of those things, offense and special teams.
Now, he talked about, Todd and the new offense. We've yet to see it, but I think, Georgia getting running backs involved in the passing game was something that happened. And I know that you have good hands. You haven't really had a chance, to display those type things on a consistent basis. Do you feel like maybe, you can find more of a niche offensively too, in an offense that's going to be different than the one that we previously had?
Right. No, for a fact. And we use like a spread offense in college as well. And I know for them, they like to spread the ball. I get the ball to running back too. Todd's offense back in Georgia. So, man, it's going to be super exciting. Like, that's all I can really say. I don't want to go too crazy to it, but I'm just happy. But definitely going to make an impact. So,
yeah. What do you get the sense, what kind of sense do you get from JK? He seemed to, at the year's end when he was running the ball better and a little and healthier, obviously, he was kind of chomping at the bit. You got Gus back, brought him back again. What kind of sense do you get from those guys and how hungry they are? Because we sense it from you for sure.
Right. No, those guys are just as hungry. And I think sometimes when you bring a little change too, that brings a new kind of a light. New like spark to it, and so it really could be the catalyst for our whole team. So I know they're excited, just as I'm excited. So for sure.
You approach this off season. You have anything different as far as getting ready for next season? Is there anything in particular you're going to work on this off season, or just kind of a normal routine for you?
Just normal routine, but you can just continue to work on the things that I really need to. So just catching, route running, and all those things. I'm going to continue to work extremely hard on those things, and then just durability, keeping my body healthy, rehabbing, all those things. So it's just going to be a continuous process that I've been started the last couple off seasons, but just growing onto those things and hitting the places that I need to.
So we got to ask you about your brother. The Bengals had two safeties leaving free agency. Looks like Dax is going to be in a big spot now.
No, for a fact. I guess we're going to see him a lot. And I saw him a lot last year. I think I won all those battles.
I was gonna say, did you two ever square up in the hole? Did you have any
not on offense and defense, but on special teams? I saw him a couple times, and then when I was playing kick return when dude was out, he might have got a shoestring on me. He might have shoestring got me, but one-on-one though, when we played Gunner, he was at quarter, man, I ran right by him. So.
You seriously went one-on-one with him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So you're talking trash all offseason then, I guess.
Yeah, I'm in his head. And now he's on defense now a lot more now. I'm beating his head even more. So it'll be a fun little rivalry.
Yeah, how fun is that? I mean, to have your brother in the same division, playing for a rival, I mean, that's got to be a good time.
It's crazy. We played him 3 times last year. I haven't played him my entire life. I haven't played against him, and then played him 3 times in one season. It's wild, but we're gonna have a lot more battles to go.
Yeah, well, we got to get him in the playoffs this time.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, Justice, congrats, man.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming.
Yep. All right.
Big thanks to Justice and big thanks to Geno. Pretty awesome to get both those guys back. We want to remind listeners that the sports landscape is ever-changing, and this week is no different. DraftKings, a leader in daily fantasy sports, still has daily fantasy contests running for those looking to have skin in the game. It's simple. Each player has a salary associated with drafting them. Assemble a lineup of players while staying under the salary cap, and then sit back and watch your points pile up. Now that you know how to play, download the DraftKings app now and sign up using code FLOCK. New users will get free entry with their first deposit. That's code FLOCK only at DraftKings. So, really, the Ravens have not brought in anybody as of the time of recording this because things change fast. These podcasts tend to get dated quite quickly. But as of recording this, Friday at 10:38, they have not signed anybody from the outside. So, which isn't really surprising, but they have made some key additions, and not just additions, but retentions, let's say. Just the contract restructures for some guys, first of all, that we thought, hey, these guys might be on the cutting board, just based off business only. Kept Zeitler, kept, who am I missing here? Who else? Gus, as we said. Kept some key guys that could have potentially headed elsewhere. Right. And now obviously Justice, coming back, Geno coming back, Justice was an unrestricted free agent. Geno was a restricted free agent who became an unrestricted free agent. Those are big moves, and just to kind of keep this team together. And now I think sets them up in a position where they can bring in somebody from the outside.
Right. I mean, all those signings you mentioned are important because you need depth. As
Michael Pierce, that was the other restructure.
Pierce, yes, right. So, having all those guys now back in the fold, as you said, now they can kind of pick and choose a little bit more and not have to worry so much about replacing, defensive line.
Exactly. Which is tough when you only have 5 draft picks too.
It is.
You don't want to create a whole lot of holes and you only have 5 picks.
No. So it's important. We've learned how important depth is for Larry around here the past 2 years, unfortunately, with the injuries we've had to make. So, yeah, I mean, this is how the Ravens generally do business. I mean, we've had, other years with Marcus Williams last year. We brought in some big guys, but the history of the Ravens is mostly to do it like this. Right. Not jump right in, be one of the big players, the big spenders. Right. Sit back, wait, and then hopefully add some pieces later on in free agency that are really going to be big. And, there's guys out there, some of our own, Marcus Peters still out there, Justin Houston. Maybe, at some point, those guys come back and then maybe augment with a piece or two here before or after the draft. Right.
For Eric DeCosta, it's always about value, right? Which really resonates with me. Guy who's always looking for the budget value. And so oftentimes, the Ravens have pounced on kind of that second wave of free agency or even the third wave, right? Like when rosters settle in, kind of shake out a little bit. Sometimes you have guys that are released or whatnot that break free. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens got into the fray a little bit more here in the second wave of free agency. They still obviously wide receiver. The reports are that there's interest in Odell Beckham Jr. They're one of 3 teams, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Ravens, reportedly are the teams that are kind of in on the Odell Beckham sweepstakes. They still have cornerback. Do they bring back Marcus? Do they bring in an outside report? There's a report out there, or an outside player, I should say. There's a report that Rock Ya-Sin is visiting the Ravens. Again, that's just a report. We don't know. But we're seeing a little bit more smoke here that a move could be coming.
No question. I mean, we've talked about wide receiver and corner ever since the season ended, that the Ravens are going to make moves at those positions. And not maybe just with one, might be a couple of players at both of those positions when you include the draft and what they may do in free agency. So, I do expect in the next week or two that the Ravens are going to bring somebody in from the outside. I think that if I had to guess, it's going to happen at one of those 2 positions, either wide receiver or corner. And, hopefully it'll be someone who can step right in and play a role because as they've said, and we all agree that those 2 positions, they definitely are looking to upgrade and add to what they already have.
Right. Now, you're a Temple guy. What do you think? What thoughts on Rock Ya-Sin?
Of course. What am I going to say, man? Rock's the man. Hey, if you get a player from Temple, he's going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be smart. So yeah, they've had good Tavon Young.
Yep.
I mean, there's some similarities I think between their game. And Tavon was a heck of a player for the Ravens. Too bad, the health issues with him. But yeah, Rock Ya-Sin, I think he's a guy who he's got upside. I think that he would be a nice fit. I think he, as they say, he already plays like a Raven. So, and I'm sure he's heard things from Tavon about being here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember Rock being at the Senior Bowl and having a really good Senior Bowl a number of years back, and then I went to the Colts. I mean, he was like a day 2 pick, I think, of the Colts.
Second round, yeah.
Second round, exactly.
Yes, he was.
And played really well. I mean, he, like Tavon, a smaller in stature kind of guy, you think of as a traditional, more of a nickel corner, which would be a nice fit, especially because you expect to see Kyle Hamilton probably playing a little bit more in that Chuck Clark true safety role. Again, he'll still be used, he's a versatile player. They're going to want to capitalize on that, have him cover tight ends. You probably feel better about Kyle Hamilton covering some of these big body tight ends than Rock Ya-Sin.
Right.
But if they're going to go 3 wide with some shifty little wide receiver, in the slot, I'd feel great about Rock Ya-Sin. Again, we're talking about this. It's, there's reports he's visiting. We're not sitting here saying he's a Raven, but like I would be in favor of that move if they were to bring him in. I think that would be a good addition. And it also means, I don't think it rules out the possibility that if they come to a good deal with Marcus Peters potentially down the line, that he could still return. And I would be stunned if the Ravens didn't draft a cornerback in the first 2 days of the draft. If I think there's certainly a possibility they could draft one in the first round. It's loaded. And if they don't get one in the first round, with the third round would not be surprising to me at all.
Right. And I mean, at that position, depth is crucial. I mean, it's hard to keep guys healthy.
Stockpile them.
It is. I mean, you never know. It seems like every year, we're set at corner, and then
exactly
by week 4, we're like, we don't have enough corners. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said there. I feel like the Ravens this year's draft being deep at that position obviously is an advantage for them.
Yep.
They could jump on a guy they love day 1. If they don't, there'll still be quality there day 2.
Yep. And that wide receiver, like I said, there's the report that the Ravens are one of the interested teams in Odell. What are your thoughts on that?
Odell's an extremely talented guy.
Yeah.
I think the biggest concern right now would be health, staying healthy all year. But Odell, he's a difference maker. And I think that it's funny. He's the type of guy that teammates get excited seeming about playing with him.
I mean, everybody has seen the talent.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Right.
And Todd Monken even talked about, he's a face guy. He's a guy that brings recognition. I think he would definitely excite the fan base. He's a playmaker.
Yep.
I would just keep my fingers crossed, like with every player, but definitely, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question with him is, can he be that dude again? And teams reportedly went out and saw him do a workout recently, and I saw a couple clips online. Look pretty good. Look sweet in one-handers and stuff. I mean, he looks fast. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2019. Now, who was his offense coordinator back then? Todd Monken with the Cleveland Browns. As you said, Todd said, he's an electric player. I really like Odell. So I think we know where he stands on the issue.
Yeah, where he's voting, right.
But, I mean, there's reports that Odell wants a pretty big contract, multi-year contract. Can the Ravens make that happen right now with their salary cap situation? I don't know. Yeah. But it's certainly intriguing. I think that there will be a veteran wide receiver added to this team at some point. Yep. The Vikings released Adam Thielen. Is that somebody, especially how the Ravens like to jump on guys who are released so they don't count against the comp pick formula. Could that be a fit maybe down the line? Could a trade happen? I think, and I've said before, I think that's a very interesting avenue to explore is trading for a wide receiver, because it can be difficult in free agency. You don't have a lot of cap room. If you trade for somebody, they come theoretically, potentially at a much better cap number. A guy like Jerry Jeudy, for example. But do you want to give up a first-round pick for a wide receiver that's going to be under contract for 2 more years? So there's a yin and a yang there. So I don't know. I do think that just because, we're seeing a lot of free agent wide receivers come off the board, right? Juju goes, Paris Campbell recently is gone. The guy with the Slayton is going with the Giants. You're starting to see what was originally a slower market start to get rolling a little bit. Now, to, I think, the Ravens' benefit, it hasn't been outrageous numbers. It hasn't been very expensive. But the names are starting to dwindle a little bit. I think the Ravens at some point will get in on that action.
No question. I mean, there's rumors, DeAndre Hopkins is supposed to be on the block too. That's another big name receiver who, some might be playing elsewhere.
Now, that's a different salary cap situation.
That is.
Much different than Judy.
That is. But you know what? I mean, my feeling is, wide receivers, generally speaking, I mean, there's been guys who step right in, like Jamar Chase, who've been dominant, but that position, sometimes it does take a couple of years for a guy to be impacted. And that's one advantage of going after a veteran guy. If you can find a guy who's already established in the league, who has some juice, who can step right in and help, to me, this is a great opportunity for a wide receiver to come in. I mean, new offensive coordinator. You'll have an opportunity here, I think.
I mean, the question is Lamar.
Well,
the question's Lamar.
It all
every wide receiver that's thinking about coming to Baltimore, that's
comes back to
the
Lamar.
First question is: Is Lamar thrown to me, or is he not?
That question will be answered at some point.
Yeah.
And yes, it's up in the air. But I'm still, if I'm a guy looking for an opportunity, I don't rule it out because of the Lamar situation coming to Baltimore. I really don't.
I would agree.
I mean, it's a winning team.
Exactly.
They want you at that position. They want you to be an impact guy. No matter who's throwing the ball to you, you'll get an opportunity to show what you can do. So, yeah, I mean.
I think there's a different. I think that the change at offensive coordinator this offseason certainly impacts, and people around the league see all that stuff. And I think that they look at Todd Monken and say, all right, he had that Georgia offense humming. It's pretty clear, I think, that he wants to get the wide receivers more involved. I do think that Baltimore is a more probably desirable destination to come for wide receivers now that the change has been made to OC. And that's no shade. I think that's just probably the facts. Under Greg Roman, it was seen as a very run-heavy offense.
It was.
It was right. It was not only seen, it was. Exactly.
Right. No question.
Yeah. So I think, the other thing that to keep in mind here is the Ravens also need to keep enough salary cap space, enough cash free in case a team does make an offer to Lamar Jackson and they reach an offer sheet so that the Ravens have the ability to say, all right, we'll match that. If you box yourself into a corner where you can't, if you make it easier for other teams to sign him to an offer sheet that you cannot match, well, now it's more risky that you could lose Lamar. So I think that's also part of the equation for the Ravens, and why we haven't seen them spend a lot of money yet is they need to keep that door open and make sure that they can make every effort to keep Lamar here.
It's an unusual offseason.
It is, for sure.
And yes, he's a franchise quarterback, and yes, that's the number one priority. So it does affect everything.
Yep.
As Eric DeCosta said as much at the Combine that, yes, it does affect other things that we're doing. But I think the Ravens have done a good job so far with Lamar's situation still being unsettled to accomplish, some of the signings that they are, trying to figure out what they're going to do with the draft and free agency. They haven't let it paralyze them.
Yep.
But it's unusual. And yeah, it's going to remain the elephant in the room until it's settled. What's going to happen with Lamar.
Yep, for sure. Well, thank you, Cliff, for joining us. Clifton Brown, everybody, stepping in for Garrett on this Friday. And to all those of you watching, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Keep those ratings coming in. And if you haven't already done so, check out Ravens Press Packs. It's where all of our press conferences will go, all of our locker room interviews. Make sure you check out, subscribe, rate, and review that as well. Things are changing fast. So I'm sure we'll be back with you in not too long. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon.